Tonight, on A Week in League, we'll be talking about the LEC finals, the EG's roster rumors, Vulcan to the LEC, the MSI representatives, and so much more right after the intro. Welcome to A Week in League, where we cover League of Legends esports all around the globe from all 4 major regions. I'm your host Slomar, and let's just get right into the news. As usual, timestamps and links will be in the description, and while you're down there, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thanks. We'll be doing things a little differently this episode. We'll be taking a look at all the MSI representatives from the 4 major regions. We're not going to spend much time talking about the rest of the MSI teams in this video, but as the MSI coverage goes on, we'll cover every single team in the tournament. With MSI around the corner, we're going to be taking a look at the MSI representatives from the LPL. The 2 reps from the LPL this year are JDG and BLG. JDG spent the entire spring split in first place, only dropping 3 series total, including playoffs. Ruler and Knight joined JDG this year with the core 3-man roster from last year, 369, Kanavi, and Missing. The roster was an instant success and has been performing extremely well in the LPL. But enough about JDG, let's talk about the other LPL representative, and that's BLG. Heading into the spring split, BLG's roster was really hyped up. After last year's performance, BLG blew up the entire roster and acquired 5 new players. The team has had varying success during the regular season, showing glimmers of hope every now and then. The team ultimately finished 5th and clinched a spot for playoffs. Things seemed to finally click in for the roster towards the end of the split, especially for the bot lane. Elk was the rookie of the split, and On has been on, if you know what I mean. BLG made a real deep playoff run, playing 6 best-of-5 series against the LPL best, stopping teams like OMG and EDG, and finally qualifying for MSI. Both LPL representatives look really good, and if the LCK finals are anything to go by, they're making T1 look really beatable. However, the meme is, one LPL team always bombs out of Worlds. And I know this is MSI and not Worlds, but who knows, with the new format, anything's possible. The MSI format this year is definitely going to favor the better teams from the LPL and the LCK, and there will be less room for upsets. Anyways, that's all for the LPL representatives. MSI kicks off on May 2nd, so make sure you come back for our continued MSI coverage. The 2 LCK representatives this year are T1 and Gen G. I don't even know where to start with this. The spring split was the T1 show. T1 only lost 1 series during the regular split and the finals. It seems like T1 has lost quite a few finals in the last couple years, but you can't disregard the team's regular split performance. The T1 lineup is still led by the GOAT, Faker. Keria has had a meta-defining split, winning the MVP award and the Player of the Split award. This T1 lineup has been together since 2020 and has had some varying success. Heading into the tournament, I think a lot of people are still holding T1 as their tournament favorites. Anyways, let's talk about the spring split champions, Gen G. Gen G finished the regular split in 2nd place, dropping a total of 5 series during the regular season. In playoffs, Gen G only lost to T1 before beating them again in the finals. Gen G kept the core 3-man lineup, Doran, Peanut, and Chovy, swapping out their bot lane heading into the spring split for Pez and Delight. Gen G may have had some shaky games this split, but after beating T1 in the finals, they have proved that they are a real MSI contender. Historically speaking, most international tournaments are won by teams from the LCK. What do you think is going to happen at MSI? If you want to find out, make sure you tune in next week for our continued MSI coverage. The Sad Lions are now the Glad Lions. What a run! MadLions goes on this insane playoffs run, taking down G2, Vitality, and BDS to win the spring split playoffs. They reverse sweep BDS in the finals to get their 3rd LEC title, proving to the entire world that they deserve the MSI slot. This comes after the team finishes the regular season in 8th place, barely qualifying for playoffs. This has gotta be one of the most impressive playoff runs in recent history, so congratulations to the MadLions. And with the LEC playoffs finally wrapping up, we now have our 2 MSI representatives. The 2 representatives are G2, the winner of the Winter Split, and MadLions, winner of the Spring Split. Crazy that Vitality miss out again, and BDS just couldn't make it. Anyways, let's talk about G2. G2 only kept their solo lanes heading into this year and have arguably had a shaky Spring Split. The team dominated the Winter Split, but looked meh during the Spring. Caps and Yike are going to be what this team lives and die by, so watch out for these 2 players. And with G2 qualifying for MSI earlier this year, they may have been experimenting during Spring, as they have already secured an MSI slot. Maybe they're saving strategies, playstyles, or perhaps even Flash for MSI. Roll the clip.
The cost of his life, a target throughout this game is, oh, good ult.
Good pet to find gaze. The flash still there. Depth shot's gonna land. Explosive cast dodged by Cass, but he holds onto the flash still as the true shot Archmice finds his mark, and Mickey is met with a minion as he tries to dredge line. The ignite ticking the shot down over to Kasi now.
All the G2 flame aside, they are definitely a team to watch out for at MSI. But let's talk about MadLions. MadLions only kept their mid jungle heading into this year, and to be honest, the roster looked really meh all year round. They literally finished the regular split in 8th place, barely qualifying for group stage. The one thing that MadLions proved on this run though is that their ceiling is really high and their floor is also really low. So I probably wouldn't bet any money on MadLions, but maybe they can make some damage in the tournament. The LEC has historically had better performances than the LCS, but we'll have to see how these 2 teams stack up against the international competition. I think both teams have a real chance of bombing out in my opinion, but we'll have to wait and see. And that's it for the LEC this week. Make sure you tune in next week for our MSI coverage. Okay, let's take a look at the 2 LCS representatives going to MSI this year. We got C9, the Spring Champions, and Golden Guardians. Wow, who would have thought we'd be sending Golden Guardians to MSI, huh? Golden Guardians made a historical run for the organization, as Golden Guardians have never made it into playoffs before. Golden Guardians had an impressive win streak in the middle of the split, but they closed it out with a couple of questionable losses in my opinion. However, in playoffs, they took down 100 Thieves, Evil Geniuses, and FlyQuest, and finally lost to Cloud9 in the finals 3-1. But the question is, can they stack up against international competition? Anyways, let's take a look at the other LCS representatives, and that's Cloud9. Cloud9 running back the same roster from last year, only changing out their mid laner. And the Cloud9 domination in the LCS continues. Cloud9 gets another title and takes off to MSI. In my opinion, MNS in the mid lane might be Cloud9's only liability on the international stage. MNS is a rookie after all and has 0 international stage experience. Can he lane against GOATs like Faker? Sven is looking a lot better on support this year, and Berserker was the Spring Split MVP. Could this be the best Cloud9 roster LCS has sent to MSI before? The LCS doesn't usually make it far in international tournaments, but we all love huffing that hopium copium, baby. Anyways, MSI starts next week, so make sure you come back for our continued coverage. Welcome to In Other News, a segment where we discuss news that may or may not be related to LOL eSports. The eSports winter continues. And this week, Evil Geniuses is reportedly dropping all their LCS players except for Jojapune. This comes at a surprise to many EG fans after EG has been investing heavily in the LCS scene for quite some time now. The organization is now reportedly going mega budget for this next split. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out and what the EG roster will look like next split. In other news, with MSI around the corner, League of Legends developers revealed that both Yuumi and Milio will be disabled at MSI 2023. This kind of makes sense as they usually don't enable new champions before big international tournaments like that. And speaking of MSI, Dash has confirmed on Twitter that he will not be attending MSI this year. This comes after Dash hosted the LCS finals this spring split. This will be the first time in the event's history where it won't be hosted by Dash. I'm still not sure what's going on with Riot and Dash here, but it's clear that the community wants Dash back. Bring Dash back. In other news, Riot Games reveals Virtual Pass for the League of Legends Worlds 2023 with digital and physical products. This announcement was in a long blog post by the head of esports at Riot Games. The blog post goes over many aspects of esports from both League of Legends and Valorant. There was also an interview released on a Travis Gafford YouTube channel, and both links will be in the description. I'm really excited to see what this pass will bring out, but here's a question I've always had. Remember ProView? Why is that not a thing, man? Like, we obviously have the technology to do this. Why isn't it just a norm to have 10 streams going from every player's POV during the game? I need ProView back, and I was one of the people that paid for it and will pay for it if it does come back. Petition to bring back ProView? Especially since, to my knowledge, ProView is available in the LCK and the LPL apparently. We even get some replays on broadcast from the player's POV. In other news, MadLions' pause during teamfight against G2 sparks LEC controversy. Some prominent community figures think that the G2 position was very advantageous. This G2 position would allow them to contest the dragon and possibly win the fight. Okay, there's a bunch of bugs around, so let's talk about them all. The cookie bugs are back, and they're better than ever. Tahm Kench can now teleport around the map freely. There's an infinite gold hack bug, a redemption 0 cooldown bug. Did I mention that every single one of these game-breaking bugs are being abused in solo queue right now? Yeah, be careful out there, boys and girls, and maybe ban Tahm Kench in your rank games. In other news, the LCS teams are working on changing the import rules for next season, according to LS. We reported on this last week, but now we're getting more and more news and confirmations from LS. In other news, with the EG roster rumors going around, EG's support player Vulcan is rumored to be joining an LEC team. This would be one of the few non-LCK or LPL imports in the LEC, and is probably the first Canadian/North American import to the LEC. In other news, the Worlds 2023 location and dates have been announced. The playing stage will kick off on October 10th in South Korea, with the finals taking place on November 19th. Tickets go on sale in early July, and more information is down below. In other news, Korea names the preliminary roster for its LOL Asia Games national team. If you don't know, the Hangzhou Asian Games are very akin to the Olympics in the West. The Asian Games this year will have League of Legends eSports featured as an official event, making it a very important competition for all the participating countries. I'm not sure if we're going to cover this event per se, but we'll recap it afterwards for sure. Keep in mind though that we don't really know the 5 players hitting the Rift yet. Anyways, it's time for a quick eBits. OverActive Media announces increased net loss for 2022. OverActive Media is the parent company of MadLions, Toronto Defiant, and the Toronto Ultras. Guild Esports and Bitstamp terminate partnership. Another Guild Sports story for you. Guild Esports secures 3-year Hummel partnership. The Call of Duty League Stage 4 Major viewership sees a 17% decline. The ESL Faceit Group announces a $1.5 million Call of Duty mobile series. Talon Esports launches a music album with United Esports. The Valorant Champions Tour in EMEA gets wings with the Red Bull partnership. Red Bull and AGON continue esports partnership for 2023. Esports venture capital fund BITKRAFT Ventures expands into Asia. Rival and New Balance launch community-focused tournaments. The Call of Duty League secures Monster Energy partnership. Oakley partners with EDG's players Mako and Nongzu. Skillshot Media and Ghost Gaming announce a Make-A-Wish Georgia partnership. And our last story for the night is about this Reddit post where someone recreated a realistic-looking Summoners Rift. Yeah, with all these Unreal Engine clips going around the internet, we deserve one in the League of Legends community. The behind the scenes video is up on our channel right now, and if you haven't seen it, make sure you go watch it. Thank you so much for all the continued support, and if you're enjoying the show, please consider subscribing. Have a good night, and good luck in solo queue. Woo!